Welcome back to Newsday. Now, Justice Taiwo of the Abuja Division of the Federal High Court has disqualified Sheriff Oborevwori as the candidate of the Delta State People's Democratic Party for the 2023 governorship election. Justice Taiwo agreed with the plaintiff that Oborevwori ought not to take part in the 2023 governorship election for allegedly supplying false and forged documents to the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, in aid of his qualification for the position. The judge subsequently directed INEC and the PDP to recognize David Edevie as candidate of the PDP in the 2023 governorship election in Delta State. Joining us now to discuss the latest development in Delta State following the disqualification of Delta State Speaker as the PDP governorship candidate and the likely effects of his replacement on the electoral fortunes of the PDP in the 2023 general election is the Senior Political Adviser to the State Governor, Honorable Funkekeme Solomon. Great to have you on Newsday. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having you.
It's a pleasure. I'd like to start by asking you how this development might affect PDP's chances come 2023 in the general elections, of course.
Well, first, thank you. I know that some persons may be agitated, but the fact is that it is still a PDP affair, and both the party and the candidate has appealed for calm, and that everything is being done to appeal the judgment. And there's no cause for alarm yet. Of course, you know that the process does not end with this judgment. So there's no cause for alarm, and this is a PDP affair.
Now, the judge agreed that your candidate supplied false and forged documents to INEC to aid his qualification for the governorship election. Is the PDP and the Delta State government, are they aware of this?
Well, that's what the court has said. And like I said, until the final court in the land says so, as of today, we believe that we'll have judgment. Justice will be served.
Okay, just as the ruling has been released and the information also has been released involving alleged falsification of documents or records, with an appeal on the table, how likely do you think the appeal will scale through?
Well, everybody that goes to court is optimistic of winning. So, as far as I'm concerned, it is premature, really, to speculate.
I understand that you're saying that it's premature to speculate and that you're optimistic, as you should be. But in the event that things don't go the way you hope they will with your appeal, what's next for you?
It's a PDP affair. The winner is PDP, really. So it says there's no problem at all. PDP is a party, and it's a party that contests election, not an individual.
Now, the PDP at the national level and at some state levels seems to be having a hard time putting its house in order due to the emergence of candidates and in some cases their running mates. Are you worried that this might cost the party a lot at the polls in 2023?
Well, it's not only in PDP that we have such things happening now. I don't think that the issue of choice of running mates or emergence of candidates is a real problem. What is important is that PDP is the party that has the program to rescue Nigeria from the mire, the cliff that the APC have put the country. So you can't ask whatever happens, PDP will resolve itself and will face the battle ahead because the party is prepared to take over power from APC come 2023.
All right, Honorable Solomon, for us in the public who are not part of the PDP and aren't as well versed in party politics, we're just wondering if you can elaborate a little bit more than you have previously, because our viewers definitely want to know a little bit more, and if you could give us some more insight as to how the PDP is going to go about resolving what seems to be a bit of a conflict. I know that the party has internal mechanisms for putting things into place, but if you can expound a little bit in a couple of sentences about how that could go on so that we can know, for all of us who aren't party to the party politics.
Oh, okay. Well, you know there are processes normally after every contest, particularly within the party, there are a few issues. Some person's interests might not have been served the way it should have been served, and so there's normally this issue of disagreement some way. But it is normal. There is no country in the world where primaries don't throw up concerns about who won and who didn't win. And PDP has very robust mechanism in resolving all the issues that people are perceiving to be threatening the party. Not at all. Because the goal is that the PDP is ready to unseat the 7-8 years of hunger and that have faced the country. The 8 years of misrule, as it were. 8 years of insecurity. And so this is what is uniting the party. Whatever interest that is at an issue today, we will resolve, because the overall interest is to ensure that the party returns to power and rescue this country from the shackle, from the doldrum that the 8 years of APC has brought the country to almost its knees. So I'm very confident that every PDP member has that as the back of his mind, and the ball is clear, and that we should be united to be able to take over power. And that interest, therefore, is superior than the personal interest of all the party members. That's why I'm very optimistic that issues will be resolved at all the levels that this has been thrown up. It is because the party is rich, robust. That's why everybody is bickering. A party that is dry cannot have this type of concerns that we are witnessing.
Okay, so I'm just curious, as regards the documents that Oborevwori was alleged to have forged, which documents specifically are we talking about?
Well, I think the matter is in public domain, and I'm sure you know it.
Well, please enlighten us.
It's not in my place now.
Yes. It's not in...
No. The court, the judgment, we just heard it now. We have not seen the judgment physically to be able to know which documents are referring to.
Okay.
Now, some people believe the governor hijacked the process of choosing the governorship candidate and his running mate in a bid to unseat James Ibori as one of the power brokers in Delta State. How would you react to this?
Well, that is a speculation that has no substance because the processes were clear, and until the problem that caused by the Electoral Act, everybody, all the aspirants were going from place to place, canvassing the various delegates to their side. There was no restriction of anyone. The governor, I'm not aware of any time the governor restricted the movement of an aspirant or prevention of an aspirant from reaching out to delegates. So the delegates were free for each person, each aspirant to approach, and that was what happened. And I believe that it is the result of the delegates at the end that the candidate emerged. And I'm not aware of the governor hijacking. In any case, the governor himself made alluded to the fact that after he emerged as vice presidential candidate, he made the point that our leader, Chief James Ibori, made a lot of inputs into his emergence. And that cannot present to us as a family that has cracks. So if people who are not aware of how the things work here, we like to speculate and create an impression of an implosion, which is only existing in their minds. There is perfect working relationship between the leader, our leader, Executive and the governor, Dr. Okowa. And there's nothing to it that is correct to say that there's an intention to unseat. There's nothing to unseat here. The governor today is governor of Delta, and at the party, the leader of the party is today, and it gives a lot of respect and honor to His Excellency Chief James Onanifebori. So I dismiss that totally, that there was an attempt to dislodge, attempt to disrespect, as it were.
Okay, Honorable Solomon, very quickly, in terms of all that is playing out in the party and, of course, in Delta State as well, certainly the citizens who are not as politically versed might be a little bit worried about what is going on. Can you give them a couple of words to assure them that the PDP will be all right when they scale through or not?
Yeah, it is important that both the party and the candidate has issued statements to that effect, that there's no cause for alarm. I'd like to add that Deltans know that the PDP has become a household name in Delta, and the performance of the PDP government successively and at the heightened by this present administration is such that no Deltan should have an agitation. But at the end of the day, everything that appears to be not well will become well. And it's also a praying state. This is a praying state. And the party has performed so well, and that every nook and cranny has felt the impact of the party. And I think they're not in a hurry, really, to turn their back on PDP. So my appeal to Deltans is to understand that what is happening is an internal party affair, and it will be resolved in no time, and the party will move on to win the next election.
Well, I know it's an internal party affair, but I'm just wondering, in the event that your appeal falls flat and what the court has decided in terms of David Oborevwori being the candidate of the PDP in the 2023 governorship election stands, will the PDP support him fully, or will this lead to another round of internal disputes?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, like I've said earlier, you know that the Supreme Court has ruled very clearly, so many times now, that it is a party that contests the election, not the individual. So the party will go on and win the election as PDP.
Will you be supporting David Oborevwori if the will of the court stands? That's my question, please.
Of course, the party will support.
Thank you.
The party, as a party, yes. Why not?
Okay.
Honorable Funkekeme Solomon, thank you so much for joining us on Newsday.